neighbors and colleagues in joining us in this regularly scheduled October 7th, 2024 City Council meeting. As you come in tonight, which would be to my right, to everyone else's left, you come through a set of double doors. To your right, there's a desk. On that desk, there's a sign-in sheet. If you're a guest with us tonight, please sign in. City Clerk, can I have a roll call, please?
Yes, Councilperson Morrissey.
Here.
Pellegino.
Here.
Pratt. Here. Sharp.
Here.
Soha.
Present.
Stuchel.
Here.
Deer.
Here.
Wolfram.
Here.
Mayor Stockford.
Here.
All present, Mayor.
Thank you, Katie. We'll move into approval of agenda. City Manager, any members of council have any changes to be made to the agenda tonight? Dave?
Thank you, Mayor. Have been requested to have item A under new business, the airport sale of corporate hangar removed.
Okay. Okay. And we've got this laying on our desk. Do we need to add this to something too? Yeah, use of vacant lots says consent agenda. Do I have a motion to remove item letter A from new business, airport sale of corporate hangar number 1? Yes. And also to add item letter G to the consent agenda, use of vacant lot, alumni homecoming celebration. That would be G.
On the top, just under the G.
Oh, I see. Okay, excuse me. Yeah, I'm sorry. So, support.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Morrissey, seconded by Councilman Veer. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Do I have a motion to approve the amended agenda?
So moved. Support.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Sharp, seconded by Councilman Veer to approve the amended agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. We've got an agenda. We'll move into public comments on agenda items only. During this time, the podium will be open. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please limit your trips to 1 to the podium. Remember, this is on agenda items only, so if you want to speak during this particular public comment period, please make sure it has a direct tie to something present on the agenda tonight. Podium's now open. Before we get started here, Jack, can you explain to me how this is directly tied to something present on the agenda?
It's going to be in the minutes from last week when it was talked about the good jobs. It's going to be at the college with the vacancy of the street Galloway.
Fair enough. Proceed.
Okay. We never have good full. I know everybody says that the college is the largest employer in the county, which I'm not doubting that one bit. But under that paper, which was an article in the Collegian, talks about 750 migrant workers that work at the college, which you can see in that. 93% of them will get raises when the minimum wage goes up. So the ones work 750 or almost, let's say 700 people are actually making minimum wage up there, the migrant workers. So I just wanted to bring that up. Like I said, I don't know if you can count them as actual employees. I mean, I know they do because they say they're the largest employer, but I just kind of doubt that a little bit myself. So, that was actually all I had.
Well, thank you, Jack.
Can I keep that minute and 56 seconds for later?
No. Any more public comment? seeing none, we'll close the podium. Just so that any funny rumors don't get started, when Jack said migrant workers, he's ironically talking about the student workers, is what it says in here. So I'm not aware of any migrant workers that are.
Definition of a migrant worker will cover that. You read the definition.
Okay, thanks, Jack. Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. In the consent agenda, we've got approval of bills, city and BPU claims of September 12th, payroll of September 6th and September 12th, city council minutes of September 16th, finance minutes of September 16th, 2024 winter tax roll special assessment. There's a traffic control order for street closure for Hillsdale College homecoming. There's best source justification, and that's a game time equipment purchase. And then there's also this use of a vacant lot. Since it wasn't in the packet, I'll read it so the public is aware. Jeffrey Emery, a city resident, has requested the use of a vacant city lot at 120 North Manning Street, adjacent to his property at 110 North Manning Street for the purpose of a homecoming celebration on Saturday, October 12th, 2024. Mr. Emery will be providing a tent, tables, chairs, food, and beverage. And this is from Rec Director Michelle Lauren. Any discussion on these items? Did you have something to add to that, Jason?
Yes, sir. If I may.
Please. Yes, please do.
So this is the lot across from the Board of Public Utilities. We do have a tree that's in there that is in really bad shape. It is scheduled to come down hopefully next week or so. I'll see if I can get that moved up on the list. I'm sorry, Mayor, what date was that?
It's October 12th, 2024.
This Saturday.
Yeah, that would be this Saturday.
I'll see what we can do to get that done as quick as we can the next few days.
Okay, so you would be okay with approving this?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll get it done.
Okay, thank you, Jason.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions for Jason while he's at the podium?
Just one for, is there any other liabilities we need to be concerned about?
Jason?
That's the only thing right now that I know of. As long as that tree's down, we have no liability up there that I've seen, sir.
I mean, from a legal standpoint, do we have any other liabilities we be concerned about?
Whose line is it?
City's lot, sir.
Is there a use agreement for it?
Not as of right now, no, because this is the first we've seen of it.
Oh, okay, well, assuming there's a use agreement, that should take care of it.
There should be a user agreement and then,
Yeah, it's attached.
Yes, the item on the agenda is the use agreement, and John had.
Yeah, if there's a use agreement, then you shouldn't have to worry about liability, because that'll be covered by the use agreement.
Okay. All right, thank you, Jason.
yes, sir.
Any more discussion on any of the items? Councilman Beard?
On the city council minutes, page 17, where we took away the fees associated with the Veterans Fair Parade,
Yes, sir.
and it's down as, it was a 7-1 fail, but it was 7-1 passed.
I'll make that correction.
Yeah, and Kate will make that adjustment.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Any more discussion on items present in the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Worsey, seconded by Councilwoman Pratt. Can I have a roll call, please, City Clerk?
Councilperson Palladino,
Yes.
Pratt,
Yes.
Sharp,
Yes.
Soha,
Yes.
Stuchel,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Wolfram,
Yes.
Mayor Stocker,
Yes.
Councilperson Morrissey.
Yes.
9-0 approved.
Thank you, Katie. All right, let me find my place in the package here. We will move on to communications petitions. Item letter A, 17th Annual Walk of Remembrance Event. Sorry guys, let me get to this. And that is Sunday, October 20th, so a week from this upcoming Sunday at 1 p.m. at Owens Park Pavilion. Second item is a BPU hydrant flushing. That's to begin October 6th. Crews will flush hydrants daily from 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. the next day until the flushing program has been completed. They were already in my neighborhood flushing, so they're right on it. Item letter C in communications petitions is appliance recycling rewards event. And that is Saturday, October 12th from 10 a.m. to noon. And that's at 149 Waterworks Ave in Hillsdale, which is the Public Services Building. Okay. Item letter D.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I have a question on that.
Sure.
As that drop-off event, it says bring a working dehumidifier, window air conditioner, or mini fridge. Is that to assume that all those are in working condition?
Yes, they need to be in working condition in order to receive the rebate.
And is there a limit on, is there a limit, is this 100 per unit? Could you bring in 3, 4? Is there a top limit on that?
I don't know if there's a top limit, but it is per unit, so it could be more than one.
And would that be adjusted on your BPU bill? Is that how they was gonna look at that, or is that actually?
I don't know the answer to that. Brandon, do you happen to know how that is credited?
They send a check back, it has no involvement of us, it's right from Efficiency United or whatever they are, approximately 60 days, they said, from my understanding. You can bring back up to 4 items,
Up to 4, okay.
up to 4.
Don't give anybody anything. It was Bruce. Okay. All right, item letter D, Hillsdale County Materials Management Plan Intent Notice. On July 6th, Hillsdale County filed its notice of intent to prepare the materials management plan and has become a county approval agency. Complete the MMP development as a single county. Please note that all materials management planning committee meetings are open to the public, and notice that these meetings shall be found on the county website there. And I guess if we have any questions about that, item letter E, Hillsdale County Commissioner update. Commissioner Ingles.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, City Manager. Yes, I did send to all cities, villages, and townships in Hillsdale County that Hillsdale County will proceed as a single county materials management plan. One of the next steps is to create the Materials Management Committee of 11 members. Those will include 1 solid waste disposal facilities operator, 1 managed materials hauler, 1 materials recovery facility operator, 1 compost facility operator, 1 waste diversion facility operator, 1 environmental interest group, 1 elected official for each county, township, and city or village, 1 individual that generates a managed material, and 1 regional planning agency. So we do have an action plan, and we're moving forward with a single county materials management plan. And I'm happy to answer any questions if there are.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any questions for Doug while he's at the podium? Councilman Soha.
What's the benefit to the county adopting this?
The benefit is that the county will write the materials management plan rather than having the state of Michigan write the plan for us. If the state of Michigan writes the plan, it will be a generic plan that does not, is not suitably written for our needs in Hillsdale County. And the materials management plan is dictated by statute. It's a new law.
Any more questions for Commissioner? Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move right into old business. Item letter A, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Union Contract. Happy to see this on the agenda. Dave.
Thank you, Mayor. If you remember a couple meetings ago, council voted to send the contract back for further negotiations and discussion on some particular items that were part of the contract. We did sit down and hammer those out and basically get rid of those 3 items that council was concerned with. birthday as a holiday, PTO payout and a volunteer pay. Those are completely out of the contract. We did make some minor adjustments, but I think that this is definitely more acceptable based on council comment. The one thing, or a couple of things I wanted to point out, it does have a wage reopener in March of '25 for the lineman classifications. What I have found in my research and in this time from when council directed it back for further negotiations, I went out and I looked at 10 different communities that have electric municipal operations, and to look and see what those in the region are paying and what benefits they had as well. And I did find that our lineman classifications, particularly our Class A linemen, which is our base linemen, are about $3 or so less just on salary rise than most in the region. You need to look at the whole package, of course, but it's something that to move this forward and bring it back, we both agreed that would be something that we could look at in the spring and compare it against all the benefits that the city offers versus those other cities. So that is one item that was changed. The signing bonus per se, it actually is kind of a retro pay to some degree, and kind of a retention bonus, and that is consistent with the other union groups. And then the last thing is their on-call pay. We increased it by 4 hours per week, and that is on-call pay is when they rotate through, but the worker takes home the on-call phone. Any problems that come in, they have to answer, analyze, and take care of if they can do it on their own. If they have to need backup, then they have to call someone in. But so we did increase that by a couple of 4 hours there. So those are the only things that have changed from the first contract that you took a look at. I do believe this is consistent with the other union groups and the other electric utilities in the region. So I would recommend council approve this.
Thank you, Dave. Any questions for Dave? Good work on this. Do I have a motion to approve the IBEW contract?
Support.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Stugel, seconded by Councilman Beer. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Good for our linemen. And it is Public Power Week, so let's recognize that. We're lucky to have a Board of Public Utilities. Okay, we'll move into item letter B, special assessment districts for street projects. Go ahead, Dave, I still need to get caught up here.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to clarify, this item was placed back on the agenda by Councilman Soha at the end of the last meeting, so that's why it's showing up. Though the last meeting it was a 4-4 tie, which normally would not be brought back up unless it was someone from the winning side of the motion put it back on the agenda. So it is back on the agenda because and he can explain, I believe he had further questions. That being said, this item, as was mentioned previously, is to identify 3 specific projects that we would like council's permission or direction to the city engineer to proceed with plans and cost estimates. One is in the industrial park, Arch Avenue, which we have received a federal grant for, or earmark, to assist with. And then the other 2 are in residential areas. One is on Monroe Street, there by the BPU, and which is a combination of residential, commercial, and somewhat industrial. And then Berry Street, which is residential, but we also have, I believe, sewer work and water work that is in desperate need on that street to be done. So that is why we picked Berry Street as far as the project. That being said, I did include in this meeting 3 different charts or graphs that are part of this, and I asked the city engineer to come to explain, basically starting with the first, and on a high level, what that states is showing is that our streets are degrading faster even at the rate we're investing, which is, as much as we've ever put into the street, they are still digressing faster than we're investing in them. So, Kristen, I'll let you take it from there, and then we'll.
As Mr. Mackey said, this is the surface condition flow that comes out of our rating program that we use, it's called RoadSoft. Now that I've been here, going on 5 years, we've got good data from 2020 till now as to, because it's been a consistent group of people that are rated from all of those years. We rate every block of every road every year. So that gives us a good idea as to what's happening with our system. So that being said, even with all the investment we've made since 2020 till now, we have slowed the descent of the decline of our roads, but we have not turned it upwards to where we're catching up. So as you can see on this, the top red arrow shows that we're losing to the -9 miles of road, centerline miles of road, and over that 4-year period, we've gained 3, going from poor to good. This system, of all the systems I've ever worked with in my career, is the absolute worst of any system I've ever worked with. 75% of these roads are in failed condition. We're making that better, but we're still losing ground because of the amount of funding we have. We need more money to do more work to turn that trend upwards. So we're keeping it horizontal and or on a slight decline, much less than what it had been previously, but it's a little discouraging. One of the big things that came out in this, and Jason and I had a long talk about it, was in 2020, we did a lot of chip sealing. When roads are chip sealed, they automatically become an 8, which is the bottom tier of a good road. Well, chip sealing, because it's only a 4 or 5 year fix, immediately starts to drop. So when you see in 2020 we had 10 miles of road that were good, and then in 24 we're to 6, a lot of it is attributed to the fact that a lot of these roads at times will sit at an 8 or a 5, and then eventually they work themselves down to the next category of poor or failed. So sometimes, and I can look at it and substantiate that kind of from the data that we have. So that's kind of a high end as to how this works. We're making headway, just very slowly.
Thank you, Kristen. And I think I wanted to bring this up and kind of to refresh some memories in some cases, and also to just kind of shine a light on it. When the Fair Committee was put in place and we looked at the options to improve the roads, and the special assessment combination was put together, along with the dedicated millage. It was done as a starting point, and now that we've got a few years under our belt, we know where the costs are, and we know what that timing is. So that being said, I know there are folks that are opposed to special assessments, but I will just tell you, if we take special assessments out, it would decline our roads faster. That being said, instead of taking special assessments out to kind of help change that swing of the curve, I would say whatever additional monies we get, we should put in there in addition to the special assessments. We should not get rid of them. One, for consistency, because we're trying to keep it fair for everyone, but The only solution to this problem is additional revenues into our street fund, and we're making good progress. By getting rid of special assessments, you're going to harm that versus adding to it and improve it. So with that, I would, open it up if there are questions, Mayor, for either Kristen or myself.
Okay. So in 2020, 10.371 miles were in good condition. You're attributing how many of those miles to chip seal?
I don't recall exactly how many, but I did go back and look at the data once I saw that difference.
Yeah.
And it is in fact, we chip sealed a good,
Those 2 or 3 miles.
yeah, almost 3-4 miles.
3-4 miles.
Yeah, and those reset, when you chip seal, it immediately resets to an 8, which is the bottom tier of the good section.
Okay.
And then eventually, over the next few years, those will drop back down again.
Because I remember the first big project that we had done was that ice project for Vine, Mead, Garden, Ripon. All those streets that were done, those should all still be considered in good condition, right?
Those are actually, yeah, if you look on the map, they're on the website, these maps are on the website. If you look on there, they're still all in the, I can't tell you if they're an 8 or a 9, but I believe most of those were still showing up as a 9. If not, I don't think they cracked it, they're still a 9.
I do have some of the chip seal data. So in 2019, we did about 5 miles, 5.3 miles of chip seal in 2019. In 20, we did about 3.75 miles of chip seal. Yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
And the garden meat vine and ripon it predates me, so it predates my dates for running this model, because before me, there was no consistent every year testing, so it's hard to compare apples to apples. So I can only compare apples to apples from 20 to 24 at this point.
Yeah, it looks like the garden mead, vine, and ripon was like 0.8 a mile, so that was a little over $1 million. That's $1,075,000. Now that was road, water, sewer,
Yeah.
the full boat. And then Manning and River, that was different. That was chip seal. So that wasn't even a mile. The garden mead, vine, and ripon.
But those were total reconstruct. So in the 1 to 10 system, the only roads that can become a 10 are any roads that are reconstructed. So the entire Westwood subdivision will be a 10, and we're only allowed to make it a 10 for 1 year. So after we're done with the calendar year, it becomes a 9 instantaneously. And then any other roads that we do, like the whole subdivision up there in the northeast part, Lombard, Orchard, and those reset to a 9 because they weren't total reconstructs. But that's the way everybody in the state rates roads the same way under the PACER system.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilman Morrissey.
Correct me on this. My impression is that one of the major problems we face is that the residential streets were not built the right way in the first place, in the sense that they didn't have storm sewers in many cases. And in a climate such as ours, with a fair amount of moisture, freezing and thawing, that would really be fatal to streets. Am I wrong about that, or?
I think every road is different in that scenario. There's some that don't need storm sewer, but you're right, water is the big devil to roads. As soon as the roads start to crack, you get water underneath the pavement, everything starts to soften up, they'll start to get destroyed faster. Which is why back in the 60s and 70s, all the engineers and my peers were, you fix the worst roads first. And as I got into this more in the 90s and 2000s, they've transitioned to a mix of fixes, which is why you see Jason and his crew doing crack filling and slurry sealing and chip sealing to seal up the surface to keep the water out. And that's critical. So on any road that we're doing now, Jason is keeping an eye. We've been out crack filling on Howell Highway, which we did 2 years ago? I can't keep track anymore. 2 years ago. So it's not uncommon to do that. A lot of the storm basins, especially on the south part of town, are nothing more than just a basin over to the ground to grade, to let things dissipate. When we did Maury and Howell 2 years ago, that's all those were. They weren't meant to go anywhere. So why that was built that way, I don't know, but it is a poor design. And I suspect what it is this city has a lot of areas where water will infiltrate. The problem with is you only have a 24-inch diameter basin with which the water is supposed to infiltrate. Well, within a couple days, that infiltration clogs up, which is why the basin is so big out there on Maury for that purpose, and why the soils and why we plant the plants we do to try to keep all that open so it doesn't get plugged. So that's part of it. I have seen in this city, there are subdivisions, in fact, Westwood right now is a perfect example. The east phase of that actually was pretty good grade. We still put the stone in and did the right things, but the section we're doing right now in phase 2 is nothing but sand, and I'm sure Mr. Wolf, or Councilman Wolfram can address this. I mean, we've got holes everywhere and sand everywhere, and it's muddy instantaneously, and that's part of the reason why those roads failed. Now, the Lombard area, that did not have road base under it, but what it did have under it was very solid. So I had no problem, no compunctions putting asphalt on it. So even though a road like that area up there was in failed condition, a 1 or 2, we didn't do a total reconstruct on it as a 1 or a 2, because we used some of my expertise to look at those things and say, no, this base is okay, we can pave it, but in the rating system, we have to rate it as that. So every project like Berry Street, those curbs are in beautiful condition, and the failures on that is just from really, really old pavement that's never been dealt with. So I have every belief that we can mill that off, resurface it, which is a lower cost than doing a reconstruct. So a lot of this is being done with my experience and background and all of that. Jason is learning right alongside me so that when I retire, he can take that over. So I'm conscientious of money and how we do these and try to do them the most economical and the correct way so that they last. I don't want them to last just 2 years until I'm gone. I want them to last for 15 or 10 or whatever it's right.
Just one thing to add to that, on the Berry Street project, just to clarify, the water and sewer work that needs to be done there is not part of the SAD, so that's taken care of by the BPU in their budgets in the water and sewer departments, and not added into the cost for the resident.
And that is just one block of that project. But we looked at the road, looked at the curbs, and because of the fact that that one block needs to be torn up, it makes sense to do the whole road. So that's why we chose that versus others. I have no lack of areas to do roads, believe me.
Thank you. Any more questions for Kristen, Dave? Councilman Beard.
Currently in this year, Kristen, how many roads have we chip sealed or thinking of it, or are we not planning to?
We are not this year, mostly because we've had such, with the $10 million that I'm managing alongside adjacent, we just don't have the personnel to manage a project. I'm already over my head managing what we have right now. So we purposefully did not plan to do chip sealing this year, just because we've got so much going on. I believe we have, I want to say 150, 200,000 budgeted in this current fiscal year, but when we planned it, it was next construction season.
Correct.
Yeah. So we'll get a contract together and get chip sealing done again next year. The problem we're also having is because we did those 8 miles back a couple years ago, we've kind of run out of low-hanging fruit to deal with. So it doesn't make sense to go out and chip seal a road that doesn't need to be chip sealed or is in too failed a condition to chip seal. So that's part of what we're balancing, is we're just kind of run out of those roads to do.
And the current project that we're in, of course, it entailed a lot of some bonds that the city had to sell me to make it come to fruition, right? And because of that, as far as because we're addressing some of these kind of very serious road conditions and I think this one, and because of that, the road project slated for 2025 is on a smaller scale, but still addressing some of those
Yeah, this is, I mean, the fact that this is like $5.5 million, that I have, that number includes the water and sewer, sanitary sewer stuff that we're doing there. And as Dave said, those are not included in the special assessment district. I actually track those costs completely separate. They're billed to the BPU budgets, the enterprise funds, and the SAD only includes the road and storm part of that project, and which is, I want to say, like 2.9 million of the 5.8, which is curbs, drive approaches, storm sewer, and all that stuff. So that project is sizable and more than we normally do. We're averaging, St. Joe Street in and of itself was a mile, and then that's 1.2 miles over there, so this is 2.3, and we average just under a mile a year or less. Just because it's one, what we can afford, and two, what we can manage.
Bruce?
Thank you. My street Westwood was chip sealed a few years back. It did give it longer life. Westwood project, we're continually working on, that was one that they had water lines breaking all the time because it was the ground up there, which it's not surprising what you said, what you're running into, because I've been up there and checked it out, and I can see the difference between that project and where I live, the project there. It's gonna break my heart when you guys open that road up, the school buses start driving by my street again, because it's giving my street a break. It's giving it probably another year's life. But chip seal is a good thing to have. I mean, Jonesville can testify for that, for all what they've done over there. And I do know that Arch Avenue is on this, and I did watch a truck the other day come down the hill on Mechanic and sit there where the old big boy was and wait to turn. This was at 11:30 in the morning. And he could not see traffic coming from the Jonesville way, because with this truck, he had to sit there and wait and wait. That's why we need this Arch Avenue thing fixed, because we've got jobs up there, and these semis need to be able to get in and out of there, and we don't want them going down Mechanic. That is not a place for a semi to go down. Arch Avenue is the place they should go, and it's safe for everybody. I mean, it's a simple fix there on that. Thank you.
That's correct.
Any more questions? Go ahead, Councilman Sola.
Just a statement why I voted no last time. So we have the option usually after a motion's been made for further discussion, and there was no further discussion 3 weeks ago. And I had a question that was subsequently answered about why only a mile. And Christine, thank you for answering that again today, because that's basically what our budget, I guess, that's why I brought it back, because I do want it to pass. But I do have a question. If we're doing a mile a year and we have 24 miles that are failed, I mean, how do we ever, what?
That's the problem. You know, when you start addressing, I mean, the funding is where the problem is. You know, if we had all the money in the world, we'd keep throwing it at. And the problem this city has got to deal with, and I think it's just gonna be a slow climb, is because the infrastructure was allowed to get as bad as it's gotten, we're fighting an uphill battle and we may never get there. A lot of our ability to get there will be doing the maintenance things and the mix of fixes and the crack filling, because you know, even though we say a chip seal lasts 5 years, they can last longer. You know, that's an average that engineers use. So, you know, there are some roads that don't have as high a traffic volume that the chip seal will last longer on, so you'll start catching up at some point. But the fact of the matter is the system is completely failed. Now, like I said, there are things that I can do in some of those areas that don't have to be a total reconstruct, but, you know, we're fighting an uphill battle, and it's just gonna continue to be that way. I'd like to say we could do 24 miles in 12 years, but, you know, we ain't gonna do it, unfortunately. Because Dave and I, and even Jason and Jake, when Jake was the DPS director, you know, we looked at all of that and how long it was gonna take. And you don't wanna know how long it would take with the money we have to get roads all done and stay on top of it. So it's a sad, I mean, it's sad to say, and I don't like to say it because I take pride in road systems and what we do as engineers, but, you know, I can't address what happened prior to us being here. And I'm talking even before Jason was in the position, before Jake was in the position, you know, I don't know what those folks did and why they did it. It's just what we've been handed. And the same goes for the water and sanitary infrastructure. Those were largely ignored. You know, when Councilman Sharp talks about the water main up on Westwood, we literally scraped the bottom of the water main to make a connection of our new valve, and it started leaking. And when we cut the piece out that was leaking, you turned it over, the entire bottom of the pipe was gone. The mud was holding the holes closed until we scraped them out. And that's why that water main's being replaced up there. And, you know, we've had collapses of sanitary sewers in areas where we've been doing work. You know, we videoed and we've been lining as many sewers as we can so that we don't have to do open construction. But if we don't have a lot of those now, that system will be in the same system as the roads. And the problem with that is it backs up into everybody's house, so you don't want to collapse in your sanitary system. But we're getting ahead of that. So that's good that we've caught it when we caught it.
Any more questions, comments?
I just have a comment. This is not just a Hillsdale problem. All you gotta do is drive around Ann Arbor and you can see it's a problem. I am gonna be discussing with Eric Nesbitt, who's the minority leader in the Senate, who's a former student of mine. I thought of a proposal where you could charge an essential services fee for people who, it would be like a city income tax on non-residents, because lots of people live in the township, drive in, use the roads all day, and so there's lots of traffic on the roads and being used by people who aren't making any payments for that. So I'm thinking that might be a way to approach this, where you could raise money from non-residents that are earning income in the city. So I just wanted to make the point that this is not just a Hillsdale issue. I mean, the governor ran on fix the damn roads last time, right? So just wanted to.
Well, as you said, you're not wrong. The biggest difference I was a city engineer in Adrian for 14 years. They implemented special assessment districts back in the 70s. And they've been, and the millage came out in the 70s as well. So they've been running all those years with millage, and their system, obviously I managed it for 15 years, is in pretty decent shape. And they've maintained that to this day. Every 10 years, that millage gets voted in, the special assessment districts continue to go through, council supports them, because they've seen the benefit of doing it. Now, they had the same problems that you guys are struggling with regard to the special assessment district and doing those assessments. But the fact of the matter is several years down, people get used to the fact that this is just the way it is, and this is what we have to do to have better roads. So, you know, I know it's not the best way to do things, but unfortunately, with the funding we get from the state, it's the only option we have for the local street system. We get much more money in the major street system, which are the Manning streets and the Hillsdale streets and those bigger volume roads. The reality is there's more grants for those, and there's more funding for that. The local street system is very low.
Thank you, Kristen. Good information. You guys are doing a good job. I mean, no doubt about it. You guys are doing a great job, and everyone appreciates it. Whether we support special assessments or not, you can still say that our street team has really been on the ball and made it a priority. So, and I hope that you guys know that a philosophical objection to a special assessment isn't a reflection on how you do your job or how a council member or myself might feel about the value that you bring to the city.
I don't have a problem with people voting no. And I had this conversation with ex-mayor Sessions. So I have no problem with people protesting the special assessment district if you take the time to find out all the data and answers. If at that point in time your vote is still no, that's your prerogative and your right to do. And so that does not offend me in any way, shape, or form. I mean, I want to do my job. I want to get these roads done. I want to make things better for the citizens of Hillsdale. So I I don't take offense at that, I don't believe Jason does either. It's just the ability, you know, if you know all the answers or all the data and what the reality is of the funding, then that is your choice to make that decision.
Thank you. Councilman Beer?
I would say probably going forward, in the future councils, that need to place a higher priority on the roads. And a lot, therefore, more money. On the positive though, with our city assessor, the property taxes are now greater than they were just a few years ago. And they're going up, so possibly with that extra funds that the city would be bringing in, if they could maybe allot a bigger portion of that, that would be earmarked for the roads. And kind of going forward with the college hotel project, expansion project. To me, that's a huge thing as far as an endowment that the city could actually not get into the principal, but just kind of live off the interest income from that and do some renders where it would actually encourage that endowment to grow. So going forward, it would have a bigger sum that would be coming into the city to help offset some of these rising costs and addressing the road issues.
Thank you, Doug. Any more discussion, Councilman Sharp?
I work for an auto repair shop, and I will tell you, the people like on Westwood Drive up there and that, they were bringing their cars in quite often to be fixed. And you're talking, when they do this, it's $2,000–3,000 every time they fix it. And that might give you 3 years. Continue to drive in that road in the wintertime, when it's really cold out, you're breaking a lot of things in that vehicle. So you can either spend it now, or as they say, pay me now or pay me later. And with the roads being as bad as they are, we have to continue to find it. Because that was one of the things this council had on our agenda, on our goals, was the streets and the public safety and all that. We need to continue to fix these streets. The better the streets, the better the housing, the more properties will sell a lot faster. It's not going to increase your property taxes, that's set. It will increase your property value though. And if you have a nice street, it will help sell the home. And Westwood was definitely a nightmare. It still is right now, but it's coming along. And I'm very proud to see it. And I thank you for the time and effort your crew puts into it. I see you guys up there every day. I always see that truck car up there. They're working, they're always on top of their game. And I really appreciate Parrish and the job they're doing. It's a really good one compared to the nightmare we went through, Ed and I, me, Garden Vine, and Ripon. We lived through that nightmare. But I appreciate what you're doing, and I thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Sharp. Any more discussion? Okay, do I have a motion?
Absolutely.
Second.
Motion on the floor to develop plan specifications, cost estimates for submittal to City Council on or before December 9th, 2024 for consideration of establishment of special assessment districts for the above listed street project areas. May I have a roll call, City Clerk?
Yes. Councilperson Sharp?
Yes.
Soha?
Yes.
Stuchel?
Yes.
Beer?
Yes.
Wolfram?
Yes.
Mayor Stockford?
No.
Councilperson Morrissey?
Yes.
Palladino?
No.
And Pratt?
No.
Yes, 6-3, passes.
Thank you, Katie. Okay, we will move into new business. Item letter A, Michigan Employee Retirement System changes. Dave.
Thank you, Mayor. This is just to kind of clean up with some of our divisions within the MERS pension plan. As we spoke about previously, we have closed down a number of our plans. So the first item there, document number 1, is to actually close the treasurer's division, which was created a long time ago for one particular treasurer at that time. So that document number 1 is to close that division. Document number 2 is to request a divine contribution projection for the city manager division. The concept there is, because we have an active person within that, or actually there are two people within that division, we have to have a defined contribution projection first. So that document is to request that projection so that council knows when we come back to close it, what that liability is. And then the third is to increase the BPU union with Division 12 employee contribution rate from 10.16% to 10.16%, so 1% increase on the IBEW union contract. That was part of the union contract. So what this does in that third document is makes that increase go into effect the first of the month. So with that, I take any questions or ask for council approval of these three requests.
Thank you, Dave. Councilman Beer?
David, didn't that just make the city treasurer and the city manager going forward, changing it from the defined benefit to defined contribution? But now the current, like yourself, would still be participating in the old one, but going forward?
Correct. So this would not make the change on the city manager division yet. So this projection report would come to the city council, and then the city council could make that decision after we get the report.
Okay, so
that is a two-step process.
Okay.
Because there's an active participant in there.
So, I mean, but would it directly affect you? Like, would you be grandfathered in, so to speak, or the city treasurer grandfathered in, so to continue to participate in the defined benefit?
Yes, so
Okay.
anyone who's part of the defined benefit plan currently is grandfathered into that.
Okay.
And the council has made the change moving forward that it would go to defined contribution at certain points in the union contracts and as we do this.
Which we've already addressed in the DPS and the BPU. As far as I think, was that 2017?
Yes, it was. Yes.
Okay. And then, are there any other departments within City Hall that we're still doing the defined benefit?
No, these are the last two that need to be, would be converted over.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions? You guys want to do all three requests at once, or do you want to do three different motions for the three different documents?
What's the attorney say?
I don't think it makes a difference on these.
Okay. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the above three requests?
So moved. Second?
Motion on the floor from Councilman Veer, seconded by Councilman Palladino, to approve the above three requests of the city's defined benefit plans with MERS. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, we will move into the last item in new business, item letter B, bid award, City Hall carpet replacement. Caught up here.
Thank you, Mayor.
Jason, yes, sir.
In efforts to continue with maintenance and repairs at City Hall, we put together, Kristen and myself, a request for bids for carpet replacement within the third floor city manager suite, in addition to the second floor assessing suite. Carpet in both areas do have extensive damage. Up on the third floor, we had a water leak, or a glycol leak, if you will, from one of the heat exchangers that dripped through the office, the ceiling up there, and it stained the carpet. And this assessing suite from wear and tear and rolling chairs and so forth. We received a single bid through Willowbrook Interiors in the amount of $12,089. We did budget $16,000 for this. With the one single bid coming in well under the $16,000, another quote came in for the city clerk suite for $3,089, which puts us at a total of $15,979. $21 underneath the budget, or $21 underneath the budget of $16,000. With that being said, I do ask council to award the city hall carpet bid with additional quarter work to Willowbrook Interiors in the total amount of $15,979.
Thank you, Jason. Any questions for Jason?
Just a quick thing, at the city clerk suite includes the treasurer's.
No, there's a mistake tile on that form.
Any more questions, comments? Councilman Beard?
So just for clarification, on the assessors, that's not the conference chamber, or just the conference chambers?
No, that was done last year.
That was done,
Conference
okay,
chair, yes.
okay.
Yeah, this would be the assessing suite, Mr. Beaker's office, so forth.
To the right of, when you go,
Correct.
okay, gotcha.
Any more questions? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Sharp, seconded by Councilwoman Pratt. Can I have a roll call, City Clerk?
Yes, Councilperson Soha,
Yes.
Stuchel,
Yes.
Beer,
Yes.
Wolfram,
Yes.
Mayor Stocker,
No.
Councilperson Morrissey,
Yes.
Palladino,
No.
Pratt,
Yes.
and Sharp.
Yes.
7-2 passes.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got one proclamation to make tonight, Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Day. Whereas in 1988, U.S. President Ronald Reagan declared October as a month to recognize the unique grief of bereaved parents in an effort to demonstrate support to the many families who have suffered such a tragic loss. Whereas pregnancy and infant loss is such a common occurrence, one that is usually not recognized and rarely acknowledged. Whereas 1 in 4 women will lose a baby during pregnancy, delivery, or infancy. Whereas this devastating tragedy often occurs suddenly without warning as a result of miscarriage, stillbirth, preterm birth, sudden infant death syndrome, accident, or other causes or complications. And whereas increased awareness of this causes and impacts surrounding pregnancy and infant loss may lead to a greater understanding, support, and resources in communities across the United States. And whereas in 2002, the 15th day of October, Pregnancy and Infant Loss Remembrance Day campaign began and is recognized in parts of the United States and in many other jurisdictions around the world as a day of remembrance and awareness of pregnancy and infant loss, where many participate in the International Wave of Light by lighting a candle at 7 p.m. local time to honor all babies gone too soon. And whereas on October 20th, 2024, the Hillsdale Hospital will hold their 17th annual Remembrance Walk at Owen Memorial Park, Bobby's Lake at 1 p.m. for parents and families to remember the lives gone too soon. And whereas we recognize and acknowledge the unique grief of bereaved parents of pregnancy and infant loss, and whereas we demonstrate our support for the many families affected by such a loss. Now therefore I am L. Stockford, Mayor of the City of Hillsdale, Michigan, do hereby proclaim October 15th, 2024 as Pregnancy and Infant Loss Remembrance Day in the City of Hillsdale and encourage parents, caregivers, and all residents to become educated in the opportunities to prevent pregnancy and infant loss and support bereaved families when prevention is not possible. Okay, we will move into general public comment. During this time, the podium will be open. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please limit your trips to one of the podium, and you may speak on whatever your heart so desires. The podium is now open.
I still consider those people migrant workers because they do move around and they do work seasonally. It's during school, so when school's not on, they're not here. I don't look at a migrant person or a migrant worker as being the lower class people. Like, I kind of took that from what you was saying that you did, but I don't. Talking about parking at the beach. The city of Hillsdale's got an overnight parking permit for the downtown area. It's $75 a year. They have not issued a permit since 2013. So you got all these apartment dwellers parking on the street in front of businesses, so nobody can get into the business, they're not paying any fees. Same way with the little parking lot over here by the post office. 42 union taxes. They didn't, and I sent that to Josh, they didn't pay any different taxes when they changed names. So that shows you that, I guess you don't have to do that. You can just get away and keep paying the cheap taxes or using the Oprah or whatever. Mr. Soha spoke about Waldron Street and cars parking on one side or the other side. I see that's really been changed. There's no parking signs, there's no nothing there. But they did do this the other day. They painted a double yellow line down the center. So now you can't even drive down that street without crossing the double yellow lines. Because that's how it is. I mean, Union Street's the same way. You can't drive on your own side of the street if someone's parked there because the street's too narrow and the road has been marked and you can't stay on your own side of the road to get down that street. So, and I think that's a big safety issue, and that you did too, and you brought it up, so. But it never went anyplace, it went right down the old hole. So, I'm not blaming the city police, I think Chief Epner's doing a good job, but there are ways, I mean, like this parking permit thing, that would generate a lot of money for the downtown district. Nothing else, give it to the Tifa. They need it for beautification and everything, they don't have any money, basically, or that's what they say anyhow, so, that's all I have, thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Any more public comment?
Good evening, I'm Jennifer Wertz. I came, I think, back in the spring and introduced myself and just wanted to come back and thank you for all of you that voted and supported me in the primary. Thank you to a very worthy opponent, Adam, and I wish you the best as you continue on as mayor here. And I just wanted to thank all of you for your support, and I hope that on November 5th you will go cast your vote for me as well in the general election. And I also wanted to let you know that I'm available at any time. I have business cards if you would like. Glad to hand those out, and feel free to reach out. I look forward to working with you and seeing what we can do to get some funds back locally from our state. I know one of you mentioned that over here, and I think that's critical. I actually rode my bike one day while I was outdoor knocking here in Hillsdale and fell on it, so I decided that was a bad plan and I was going to stick to walking. So definitely the roads need a little help. I would agree with that statement. So lastly, I'd just like to encourage you all to make sure when you go vote in November, or if you vote early, flip that ballot over. We have the opportunity to vote for 2 local men for our Michigan Supreme Court. Judge O'Grady from Branch County, who's a great man, has been a great judge over there, and also Representative Fink. So encourage your friends and family to do that. A lot of people think if they vote straight ticket, they voted for everyone, and that's not the case. So make sure you flip that ballot over and do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Any more public comment?
Hello, everybody knows who I am, Russell Miller, 9 Lake Street. I'm just here to let you know I ain't forgotten. I'm really hoping somebody can help me. That's really all I have is squeaky wheel gets greased, they say, so I'm here to try to do what I can do. I'd like to maybe make an appointment and sit down with Dave one day this week or next week, and maybe meet him and Jason. We've kind of been in the mix talking about this as fair and everything's kind of messed things up a little bit. But I'd like to get the ball rolling somewhere if we can, if Dave and they can make that happen. Something, we can do something. That's all I have. And thanks everybody for doing a great job.
Thank you, Russ.
Hello again, Michelle Gaynor. You guys had a great conversation about the assessment. I really appreciate all the ideas you guys are throwing out there. One thing I would like to address is when you do the special assessments, like they were saying, some of the sidewalks, is it really necessary that we put sidewalks in all that too, or do we just focus on the road itself? That would be helpful if we just focused on the roads do the sidewalks at a different time. That might save money and their time, because it sounds like time is in essence too. There's only so much time, how much I'm working. So I really appreciated that. I appreciated the comments about any extra money coming in, going to the roads, all the extra assessments, you know, that our taxes have gone up where people aren't capped anymore. Those were really helpful comments too, so I can see you really working at it. It is concerned that somebody who owns 40-foot frontage pays the same amount as somebody who owns 300-foot or multi-properties. I did understand that you only get, each resident has to pay the $5,000, and if I owned 6 houses, they would all count as one. So I don't know if that was right or not, or does each house have to pay it? I don't know that. I was told like Hillsdale College only pays one because they own the property. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but that's kind of what I heard. Also, cutting back on other things, you have 18 hangars out at the airport. We only pay $100 a hangar. And I looked around at other airports, and $150 was minimum, up to $300, but with that sale that they somehow set aside for the $75,000 that was gonna come in, they could help fix those hangars, then we could have raised the rates. I don't know what those are, but thinking about how we can cut, if we can cut other things or take up other things that will put more money toward the roads, because it sounds like you guys are thinking that the roads are important. One more thing though, I don't know who to talk to, but I was going to work one morning and they were spraying the roads, you know, with those yellow lines, and now I have yellow paint all the way down my truck. And I don't know who I contact about that, but I was driving, I live on Howell, so I'm driving to work. I work at the county office building, and so I have yellow paint, and I don't know who to talk to about that. But thank you for your time, and thank you for thinking outside the box here.
Thank you, Shannon. Any more public comment? Podium's still open.
My name is Jessica Miller, 9 Lake Street, Hillsdale, Michigan. I'm still waiting to see my driveway back the way that it was. I don't think it's right. There was a permit when it was poured in concrete, done the way that the city asked it to be, and yet I'm still parking 2 of my cars out in the road, taking up, parking out there, blocking the vision for everybody else to see down the road, all because I can't park in my own driveway. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comment? Okay, we'll close the podium and move into the city manager's report. Dave?
Thank you, Mayor. First thing I'm going to mention, and the council has in front of your places, is the My Hillsdale app. So if you have a smartphone and you can scan the QR code there and download the app, or you can get it on Apple or Google for downloads. But this was a grant we received to set up this app that we can use to push out news and information on events, whether there's road construction, whether there's a water main break, whether just about anything that we can put out there for the residents to know. If you sign up for the app, it'll show you, as you see here in the picture, it has the city's news, and it has an aspect where you can sign up for the push notifications, which you can either do it, you can choose what you want. So push notification, if you're interested in road work or traffic advisories, or power outages, you can put those down, but not community events, you can opt out of those. So you do have options there. It just basically went live, so you can download it at any time. I've downloaded it on my phone. It has the mayor and council on there, it talks about the public meetings, and then push notifications will come automatically as you receive them on, probably on your phone now to some degree. just wanted to point that out. If you have any questions, let me or Sam know. Sam's been the one working on getting this set up. I think it would be great for community education and knowledge of events.
Are they sending it on the weekly bills?
It will be sent out, and then we'll be putting it on social media and getting it out there. So we're gonna make a big push, because it's one of the biggest, I don't wanna say the biggest complaints we hear is someone didn't know about something that was going on. We try through various means, the radio, social media, postings, talking about it at meetings, but still some don't get it. So this is an option for them, particularly if they're tech savvy and would rather have it on their phone. So that is the first thing. Second, on October 19th and 20th, we have 2 trains coming into town again. So that will be 2 nice events for that Saturday and Sunday. We have food trucks, the Hillsdale Street will be closed, and there's been a lot of good things going on for those events. On the 19th and 20th, they're also working on a Christmas train. And my understanding is they've got other communities that are interested in sponsoring and helping with that, where they can do kind of a Polar Express type themed train event to the different communities to stop. So that would be pretty cool, and that's looking like probably end of November, the 1st of December sometime. Just want to remind everyone that brush collection starts next Monday, October 14th at 7 a.m. Basically, you'll have one time, so you should get it out before the 14th at 7 a.m. Then we'll go through the town and collect the brush at that one time. It will take about a week, right, Jason? And then if you have additional materials, the brush site at Waterworks Avenue will be open for residents to drop off their stuff. And then subsequently, starting October 28th, and this has gone out in the newsletters and such, they will be starting the fall leaf collection from October 28th to December 12th. Last thing I want to mention is just some very positive news as we talk about the airport and the revenue and the condition of the buildings out there. In fact, we talked about it briefly at the finance committee meeting earlier. One thing to keep in mind, our hangars out there are in very poor shape. That's why we came to the council to fix up the one big one, because we saw that as a revenue generation aspect, that we could get fixed up and planes in there immediately to start generating revenue. The small hangars that we charge $100 for are in pretty poor shape. We were looking at putting the money, if we were to sell the corporate hangar 1, putting that money into those other hangars, so we could increase the rental rate on those. But I'm not sure why the gentleman, and he's renting the hangar, why he decided to pull it off. I think he was afraid that if council didn't approve it, that he might wanted to put it out to bid for competitive bidding, he would be without a hangar altogether. So I think that's why he requested it be removed. It was, because he has 2 planes he houses, and if he were to lose the hangar, that would affect him worse than actually getting the hangar fixed up. So that being said, that's kind of why that probably occurred. But talking about the positive news there, the month of September was the biggest month that we've had at the airport. And we profited about $30,000 from our landing fees and call-out fees, our hangar fees, and our fuel sales. We generated profit of about $30,000. So when I talk about getting the airport's condition to, into a condition where, you know, we can continue that momentum, I do believe the airport ultimately could be self-sufficient, based on the amount of traffic we're receiving for various, the college, for other businesses. But when I say that we need to make sure it's in a condition that it's not a drain and that we find the airport in a poor position once again. And I think we can be there with a new terminal, with the momentum we've got going on there. But literally, the biggest month we've had in revenue, over $30,000 in profit, which is tremendous. And Ginger's done a great job out there, and Steve, who helps with the upkeep. And the Exchange Club, it all promotes the positive aspect of the airport. And we can hope to continue that momentum and continue these discussions. So with that, I'll take any questions council might have.
Thanks, Dave. Any questions for Dave?
I do enjoy watching those big jets come flying over my house, coming in and land at the airport. And I can see it going ka-ching, ka-ching when it's doing it. And I mean, it's nice to see that. The airport actually moving along the way it is. Because when Adam and I were first on there, the manager there at airport was an embarrassment to go out there and look at. And it's come a long way since.
And I believe that's why the council created the Airport Advisory Committee.
Oh, yeah.
And
A lot of growing pains at the airport, for sure.
but it's moving in a really good direction.
Yeah, who'd have thought? Who'd have thought we had it turn it a profit 7, 8 years ago? It's really cool, Dave. Any more questions for Dave? Comments? Council comment?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Councilman Stachel. Thank you, Mayor. Just the no votes on the carpet, I would have appreciated knowing why. The reason I voted yes for it, because I had considered voting no for it, but the reason I voted yes for it was because the Finance Committee put it in the budget and it was already allocated in our annual budget. And then, as I understand, the budget passed unanimously, so it didn't pass unanimously? Okay, well then, thank you for helping me understand. But I would appreciate just knowing why we want to vote against something that was in the budget, so I can fully understand what's going for it, that's all.
Thanks, John. Council Stachel?
Yes, I'd just like to thank our police department for yesterday's, St. Anthony's had a Eucharistic procession that started at Williams Court and ended up at the St. Anthony's. And so they did traffic control, so we didn't have to stop. We could cross all the streets, and they did a wonderful job. They had a couple squad cars out there, so we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd like to thank Board Public Utilities. We had a resident that had an issue with a water line break in his yard. Had the water turned off because it was literally flooding into his basement, seeping through the walls into his basement. He had purchased insurance from a company, Service Line Providers of America. Maybe some of you guys that own homes in the city might have the same insurance, but yeah, he was 3 weeks without water because this company subcontracted through another company who wasn't coming out to do the job and kept passing them along to other people, giving excuses. So he came and saw me 3 or 4 days ago, and I contacted Dave and Jake and who's the supervisor over it, and Jeff regarding it, and within 2 days he had his water back on. So really appreciate you guys getting right on that, because that's very important. And just the thought of being without water for a couple days, but imagine somebody living in the city, no water for 3 weeks. You know, it's crazy, but great job. I really appreciate that.
What was the thing?
I drove down Jonesville Road when I was working at Clemens, and they were marking the roads. I have a red pickup truck. When I got to work, my pickup truck wasn't totally red. Power wash it. Just power wash it, it'll come off, because it wasn't funny when I got out, took a look at my red truck being yellow.
I have a black truck.
Yeah, just power wash it, it'll come off.
Yellow, I was like, oh. I haven't touched it, because I'm like, I don't even know how to get that stuff off.
Just power wash it.
Oh, Rob, I'm sorry, I forgot to give you a reason why I voted against the carpet. As far as approving the budget, one, we have to have the budget approved by the beginning of June. By state law, we have to approve it. The other thing that I would say was, the budget process as a whole, we do it like every other city does it, so I'm not, when I'm being critical about it, I'm not being critical about our city, but just the process of the budget. Do you think if you have one little minor objection or a couple little minor objections with the budget that you should, and I'm asking this rhetorically, I don't expect you to answer it for me, but that you should reject the entire budget? I have a hard time with that. I have a hard time with the conundrum that puts you in. So, but basically, a couple things I've learned from being on council and involved in government is, one, there's always a reason to raise taxes higher. Always. There's always. And there always will be. And the other thing is that the money is always there to do things. There's always money in the budget. That's something that Pat Flannery told me, was that, every budget has wiggle room, basically the money's there to do things, but when I'm opposing special assessments, and then approving things like new carpet at City Hall, which I don't have new carpet in my house, I just feel funky about it, so that's my reason. I don't know if I put that into words very well, but Councilman Pelley,
Yeah, the first thing would be public safety. So I can't take my kids out on a walk on their bikes. They're too young. They'll fall over on our public sidewalks. Same for elderly people. So that's the priority of where money needs to go for me. As for why I vote no on the budget, it is tough because you need to have a budget, even if you don't agree with every item. I think I have more all-encompassing criticisms of the budget. But one of my main problems, and again, as Adam said, not a criticism of the city or how they do anything, just we don't see a line item of every particular item that's going to be spent on. So the line items sort of give you an idea of where repairs and utilities might go, but you don't actually know any of the day-to-day about what those dollars signify. And we're probably not going to get the city staff to go through line item and say, here is every dollar for every particular thing we plan to spend on. But that's what I feel that I would need to make an informed decision.
I just would reiterate, and I would appreciate council having these discussions during the debate so that I can fully understand it, because it may sway my vote.
sorry, Rob.
Motion to adjourn. Support.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Sharp, seconded by Councilman Soha to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned.